Why are you still saying Sarah?
Breaking up is hard to do. For some, it's impossible.
Some women find it easier to kill than to say goodbye.
Envy turns a teenage love triangle into a deadly fight.
These two girls were on a collision course.
A grandmother's love becomes a fatal bond.
When you think of a grandmother, you don't think of someone who's capable of doing such an act.
And a mother's jealousy is out of control.
She acted like a jilted wife.
For these deadly women, those closest to them become deadly possessions. When two teen girls want the same boy,
they both loved him, and they both felt that he was theirs, and theirs alone.
a battle ensues for the prize.
Friends said it happened in less than 30 seconds.
But in this competition,
Rage takes over, pure rage.
there are no winners.
This was an extreme situation of raging hormones and dramatic teenagers.
In 2008, in Pinellas Park, Florida, 19-year-old Rachel Wade discovers something about her boyfriend. He is cheating on her.
Who is that? Sarah?
Look at the smile on her face. It's like she owns him.
They each were posting pictures of Josh. Here's me and Josh at the beach, and here's me and Josh. Wait a minute, why is he with you? He's supposed to be with me.
Rachel's rival is 18-year-old Sarah Luderman.
Okay. All right. Josh, you...
With social networking as popular as it is today, both of the girls find out about each other. Boom, a rivalry starts immediately between the two of them.
Rachel starts leaving a string of abusive messages.
Sarah, this is Rachel. I'm Josh's girlfriend. I swear to you, seriously, if I see any more photos of you and Josh... Yeah, Sarah, it's me again, Rachel. All I've got to say is you better watch your back.
Other than sleeping with each other's boyfriends, they hadn't done anything to each other.
Reporter Lane DeGregory says the rivalry soon spins out of control thanks to modern technology.
It's one thing to say something mean to someone face to face, but when it's recorded on your cell phone and you can listen to it again and again. When it's posted, it's not between the two of them anymore, it's between the two of them and their 500 friends.
19-year-old Josh is a typical teenager. He doesn't seem to realize the turmoil he is creating.
Is that good for you? Yeah.
He and Rachel were kind of on and again, off again, have sex buddies and hang out late at night buddies. And Rachel had her own place, which nobody else at that age did, so he was able to go over there and party and sleep over.
Sarah is totally head over heels. Josh is her first boyfriend.
This was really her first real intimate, close, personal relationship with a boy. She sat back, she took her time to decide on the right boy. And boy, could she not have picked a worse candidate.
Josh has the best of both worlds.
He's an 18-year-old boy, definitely a smooth kind of guy. Joshua at various times did express strong feelings towards both of the women as well.
He's young, he's attractive. He can get the girls, so he does.
Why are you still saying Sarah?
We're just messing around, you know?
I don't even know what you see in her. I mean, she's ugly. Why don't you just dump her?
Joshua, he was always hesitant to describe either girl as girlfriend. I believe he used the phrase friends with benefits.
I love you.
What's bizarre about this, and what's hard to really wrap our minds around, is that they don't get mad at Josh. Two girls who didn't know each other until this one boy came into their lives, and they turned not on him, but on each other.
The trouble has only just begun as the online fight spills into the real world at Rachel's workplace.
Sarah and her friends started coming up to where Rachel worked and sort of making fun of her and harassing her while she was working.
But when neither teenager gives up the fight,
Are you kidding me? You got it all over my shoe. Oh,
It becomes more about taking out a rivalry. It becomes more about, you can't have what's mine. I want it all for myself.
what? Look at all the stupid waitress.
they both lose control.
It was coming to this point where there was no return.
For one of them, it is a deadly mistake.
Rachel let two things in her life get out of control. Her so-called love for a boy and her anger at someone that she thought was a threat.
In Pinellas Park, Florida, a social network of teenage passion is at breaking point. 19-year-old Rachel Wade and 18-year-old Sarah Luderman hate each other.
You are a psycho. You need to be.
There's banter going back and forth online. There's text messages. These two girls were on a collision course, really, for disaster.
They both date 19-year-old Joshua, and they don't want to share him.
She's ugly.
Both the relationships were intense from the perspective of the girls. They both loved him, and they both felt that he was theirs, and theirs alone.
After a year of trading insults, things haven't improved.
God, to be kidding me. My man, Josh?
The gist of the messages was, I'm better than you, stay away from Joshua. Don't mess with me, or I'm gonna pay you back.
Sarah, please tell me why I'm seeing new photos of you with my man. He stayed with me last night and we had sex. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. I swear I am gonna kill you. I will murder you.
This online bullying, it allows for people to hide behind a phone or a computer keyboard and really say things that they wouldn't otherwise say in person.
But it has been said, and Rachel is on edge.
Hey. Yeah, it's me.
It feels like anything can happen.
Yeah, that's so good.
She called up this old boyfriend in Javier and said, hey, I'm worried, something's gonna go down. Can I come over and hang out with you? He was like, sure, come on over.
April 14th, 2009. Rachel parks outside Josh's place and texts him.
She just sits there, stalking, really. Rachel is texting Josh, and he's texting back. And he's saying things of the nature like, get away. He's just saying things off the cuff just to enrage Rachel, really.
The message is one she cannot accept. A brush-off.
Well, this sends her house of cards really crumbling down, and rage takes over. Pure rage.
The third member of this love triangle is out with friends.
Oh my God, it's Rachel.
Put it on speakerphone.
Okay. Hello?
Carol?
Yeah?
Yeah, so, you're with my boyfriend tonight?
Oh my God, he's my boyfriend. You need to get your own boyfriend.
Rachel's seeking comfort from a friend.
Excuse me? You knew that he was with me when you first met him.
She was clearly enraged. She clearly wanted to prove something to Sarah Luderman.
I am gonna kill you, you and your
What? You're a psycho. You need to be in a hospital.
Why is she saying that?
I don't know. Can't believe her.
they might have stayed empty threats if Sarah didn't go looking for Rachel.
Oh my God, there she is. All right, I'll pull them over. Pull over. Can we pull over?
What happened, Sarah? Her eyes bulge. I mean, this is it. It's come to this. Something has to happen now.
Somebody should have taken their heads and banged them together and say, now go in that room and talk to each other, and they'll come out in half an hour and they're, oh, you're my best friend, I love you. Like, this never should have gotten this far. The girls had finally pushed the conflict as far as it could go.
I'm gonna kill you!
But Sarah way underestimated her opponent.
The witnesses who were observing the fight saw Rachel Wade make 2 punching motions and then disengage from the fight.
She's being stabbed!
2 stabs with a knife, 1 perfectly placed in Sarah Ludeman's heart.
Call 911!
It's clear she intended to teach Sarah a lesson.
Sarah! What are we doing? Sarah!
To tell her, I'm not someone to be messed with. It's clear in her voicemails that Rachel Wade considered her someone who gets what she wants.
The teenage rivalry is over in 5 seconds.
Oh my God!
It happened so quickly. Before the police and ambulance could even arrive, she was pretty much bled out in the street. Happened very, 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 very fast.
2 teenage girls, unless they're wrestling on the edge of a cliff, are probably not going to kill each other. Weapons in the hands of an angry person kill.
Rachel claims she has the knife for self-defense and never intended to use it.
One of the most senseless tragedies I've ever really looked at. I don't believe that Rachel Wade woke up that morning with the intent to kill anyone. But boy, when the time came, she certainly did a good job of it.
Found guilty of second-degree murder, Rachel Wade is jailed for 27 years. Her case becomes a cautionary tale for the digital age.
I think monitoring your children's emails is exceedingly important. It almost seems as though if somebody was able to step in, see what was going on and being posted back and forth, hear these voicemails and step in, perhaps some of this could have been averted.
I don't think Rachel was born to kill, but she did let it happen. I hope being incarcerated taught Rachel a lesson, that we don't act out our fantasies, that we don't act out our rages against other people. I hope that happens.
Rachel Wade gets day releases to lecture teens about the dangers of online bullying.
This says a fox.
Love is a powerful force, but love alone can't keep children safe.
When you think of a grandmother, you don't think of someone who's capable of doing such an act.
When this grandma says she'll take care of the kids, she means permanently.
This was a crime motivated by pure selfishness.
In 1993, in Hayward, California. Carolyn Young is as devoted to caring for 6-year-old Darren and 4-year-old Daisha as any mother.
Okay, you can eat up.
But they are not her children.
They were her daughter's children.
Meatballs?
And her daughter did not care for the children, so Grandma had to step in and take care of them.
25-year-old Vanessa Torres has never looked after her own children.
The children's mother had problems with drugs and prostitution. Carolyn Young had custody of both children because their mother was deemed unfit as a parent. So she had custody of these children since they were infants.
Oh, that was great.
Until now, the youngsters' two different fathers have nothing to do with them. And that's the way Grandma Carolyn likes it.
Darren and Daisha had two different fathers. Darren's parents never married and had separated when Darren was very young, so Darren didn't see his father for most of his life.
The mother and the grandmother, they didn't want him in the picture.
But in 1993, that suddenly changes.
I got a question. How can I owe $12,000 in child support payments?
The boy's father, Bruce Barrington, has been looking for Darren since he was a toddler.
Carolyn Young applied for child support. The Family Support Division found out the whereabouts of this young Marine Corps sergeant. He said, well, thank God, I've been looking for my son, and I want to be reunited with him.
I will go to court if I have to get the child back.
And so he took legal steps to get custody.
Carolyn has made a mistake by asking for child support. She has now revealed her grandson's whereabouts.
She just did not want to see Darren return to his father's custody. Carolyn did not want these two kids separated, the kids she had taken care of since they were infants.
They can't do that.
She makes outlandish threats.
I will kill these children before I let them go with Bruce. I will kill them.
She even talked about killing the children rather than losing custody.
They can come with me.
But nobody believed that she would do it.
For some people, their attachment to another person is unhealthy because it consumes them. They lose their sense of self. And the prospect of losing that person causes tremendous pain and disruption.
Bruce is determined to get his son back. He goes to court and wins custody.
I'm his mother. I've always been his mother. I have looked after him. He can't be separated from his sister. You can't have him.
I appreciate everything you've done for Darren.
He went through the proper channels, and his family situation was deemed appropriate for taking custody of the child. He was married. His wife had had a baby, as a matter of fact.
The law has spoken. The court has spoken. He's my son.
I think the stress of losing Darren
I will not let you separate the children.
was caused by something deep-seated in Carolyn that she had not dealt with, possibly a desertion by someone in her past when she was a little girl.
After years of daily devotion, she is shattered at the idea of losing her grandson. Darren belongs to her.
For some women, a person that they love is not so much a person as a possession, and they can't live without it.
Can you join him up with Sam?
Now what started as an idle threat seems like her only option.
Some women find it easier to kill than to say goodbye.
June 19th, 1993. Bruce Barrington has won custody of his 6-year-old son, Darren.
Wait, finally coming home. See you soon.
And is excited to be picking him up. Across town, his son and his sister from another father are asleep. But Carolyn Young has no intention of handing over her grandson.
Bruce, I tried to tell you that the children should not be separated, that Daisha and Darren were happy together and they needed each other. but you were too bullheaded to listen.
Carolyn did not want to relinquish custody of Darren back to his father, who was coming to pick him up that same day.
Carolyn's anger and retribution was like a smoldering furnace inside her. She couldn't put out the fire.
She probably was operating under the misguided notion that if I can't have these children, no one can. And she did the most despicable thing imaginable. There's nothing more despicable than the brutal murder of innocent children, and this one was really a horrendous crime. Unbelievable in its depravity.
Carolyn slits Darren's throat.
This was a crime motivated by pure selfishness.
When you think of a grandmother, you don't think of someone who's capable of doing such an act. I just don't understand how you can slaughter someone that you love.
Carolyn had a cigarette. She had time to stop and think about what she was doing, to pause and perhaps put down the knife and call for help. But she didn't.
Vanessa Torres, the boy's mother, woke up and found her son Darren in bed with his throat slit. It was certainly a chaotic scene. Vanessa reported that she saw her mom's kimono covered in blood. In complete horror, she asked her mother, "Mama, why did you do this? Why did you kill my child?"
They need to stay together.
It is about to get worse.
Grabs the baby girl, Daisha, slits her throat, and stabs her in the chest as well.
The boy's mother manages to call 911.
Killing someone with a knife is a very personal thing. It's one thing to stand off and shoot somebody, but to hold someone against your own body and stab someone repeatedly.
She could have silently smothered them while they were sleeping. She didn't. She could have shot them and they would have been killed instantly. She didn't do that either. She used a knife to end their life.
And so she had to hold these children against her until they succumbed.
But Carolyn isn't finished.
This is a horrible crime. Carolyn may have been disturbed at the time, but she was definitely not legally insane. She knew what she was doing was wrong.
Darren was 6 years old. Daisha was 4, and she slaughtered them like lambs. Every officer that touched that crime scene was impacted.
It wasn't enough for Caroline to simply murder Barrington's little boy. She wanted to taunt him from her grave.
I'm here to pick my son.
I have some very bad news for you. Your son's been murdered.
I'm sorry, I got custody of him this morning.
I'm sorry.
That told me everything I needed to know about Carolyn Young. That she was blinded by selfishness, vindictive,
At the crime scene, Detective Bill Cooper discovers Carolyn's suicide note.
She actually wrote this letter as if she was already dead. She said, "I am a very angry spirit right now, and I'm going to come back to get even with those who have hurt me and mine. Every baby your wife has, I will come back and get it."
Carolyn's suicide attempt fails. In 1995, Carolyn Young is convicted of 2 counts of murder and sentenced to death.
The reason that Carolyn Young killed those children was she didn't want to see them separated. I know that doesn't make any sense, but that's the way she kept them together.
Carolyn doesn't die by human hands, but natural causes. After 10 years in jail, her death comes from kidney failure.
It's always difficult to understand why children were murdered, but Carolyn's case is the most selfish, egregious murder of children I've ever studied.
In my career, there are a few cases that I wish I could forget about, but can't, and this is one of them.
When a mother loves her son so much,
I would categorize her as the quintessential mother-in-law from hell.
that she can't share him,
She loved him like no other man in her life.
jealousy takes control.
Elizabeth Duncan is one of the most complex, unusual, and disturbing deadly women I've ever studied.
(1958), Ojai, California. Elizabeth Duncan is a woman who doesn't like being alone. Luckily, her 29-year-old son, Frank, is very understanding.
Frank!
What is it, Mom?
I'm uneasy in this storm. Lightning, thunder. Come give me some comfort. Come on.
They were constantly together.
Elizabeth Duncan had an unnatural affection and attachment to her son.
After an astonishing 20 marriages in as many years, the only man she can hold is her son.
One of Elizabeth's problems is she had a bit of an attachment disorder. She had to have a man, which probably explains her 20-some marriages in less than 20 years.
She's a serial bigamist who leaves behind a complicated mess of marriage certificates. Her son, Frank, an attorney, is left to clean up her legal mess. But he's had enough and wants his mother to move out of his apartment.
I want you out.
Don't speak to me like that.
I'm done with all of this.
Don't speak
I'm
to
done
me
with
like
it.
that.
No, I want you out. I want you out.
You'll be very sorry. Now, please, Frank. Don't do this. Don't do this.
In a big display, she went off to her room under the pretenses of packing. And put on her best negligee. She laid out her insurance papers. She laid out her good jewelry. And then proceeded to put herself in bed and tried to kill herself.
I don't hear you packing, Ma. I'm serious. Ma? Ma?
By the time he went into the room to determine if she was packing or not, he found her, she was near death.
Ma! Ma!
Elizabeth Ma Duncan is a psychotherapist's dream. She was a Disneyland of mental problems.
Saved from death, Ma spends the next few weeks in the hospital. She's assigned a nurse, Olga Kupczyk.
Hey, Frank.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
There was mutual interaction between Frank and Olga right away.
Frank is careful not to make his mother jealous.
Oh, we can't let Ma see us together.
Why?
Look, I haven't really dated much because every time I bring a girl home, Ma goes a little crazy. She's just really possessive.
They had to keep it pretty much under wraps because Elizabeth Duncan was insanely jealous of Olga. But she would have been insanely jealous of any woman, I believe.
The couple start a secret romance.
They did things that a typical couple would do. They went to lunch, they went to dinners, walked down State Street, took long walks on Stearns Wharf, which is the pier in Santa Barbara. It was getting very serious between the two.
Hi, Mom.
He rarely dated because anytime he brought a girl home to meet his mom, she flew into a fit of rage.
Elizabeth Duncan seems to have thought of her son as most women would think of a man they're in love with. She acted like a jealous girlfriend when he dated.
But their secret will soon be revealed because their relationship becomes intimate.
Olga wound up pregnant. And this, of course, being the 1950s, they did the right thing, and so they decided it was time to get married.
But it's a secret ceremony, and Ma isn't invited.
Olga.
Ma grew very suspicious and decided to place a phone call to the hospital where Olga worked.
What do you mean she just got married yesterday?
You could almost hear the click at the other end of the line with Duncan just hanging up.
She acted like a jilted wife. She completely fell apart.
I had to do the right thing.
The right thing? Well, that was the wrong thing.
I'm moving in with her.
No!
This set a lot of things, a lot of very, very, very bad things in motion.
It didn't matter to Elizabeth that her son loved Olga. It didn't matter to Elizabeth that Olga was pregnant 7 months along with her first grandchild. She was jealous of Olga. It was a malignant, burning, seething, green-eyed monster. And she couldn't control it.
It's 1958 in Ojai, California. Elizabeth Ma Duncan is distraught. The only man she can count on, her son, has left her for his pregnant new wife.
It's hard to say how an unnatural attachment starts, but we know that they do. And once started, they're hard to break.
Would you be the Duncans?
Yes, we are.
Like a jilted lover, she plans to get Frank back.
She came up with another crazy plot, and that was just to go ahead and annul the marriage herself. Now, it's very difficult to annul somebody else's marriage, unless perhaps you're Ma Duncan.
A seasoned con woman, Ma poses as his son's wife, Olga,
Okay, I believe you.
and hires a man to pose as Frank.
And you are Olga Duncan, 25 years of age, is that right?
Yes, I am. The idea that a middle-aged woman in her 50s could pass before a court as a woman in her 20s is laughable. And yet, Elizabeth thought nothing of doing it.
Incredibly, it works.
Thank you very much. Good day. She did it because it made her feel good, thinking that she was breaking up, erasing, if you will, Frank's marriage to Olga.
Olga is devastated, and she's getting threatening calls from Ma.
What's wrong?
All the harassing calls to the hospital, it could cost me my job, Frank.
It's a terrible thing to have to choose between a wife and a mother.
But all Frank can do is try and appease both women.
So what he suggests to his wife, who's pregnant with his child, is that, honey, I think that in order to keep Ma placated and maybe she'll stop calling us and harassing us, I think it's best that I go ahead and move back in with Ma.
Little do Frank and Olga know, this is their last goodbye.
He no longer lives with his wife, Olga. She's alone in her apartment, continuing to work and pregnant.
But Ma Duncan wants a permanent solution and recruits 2 thugs to help her.
Ma Duncan gives violent criminals a bad name.
Elizabeth Duncan was the mother-in-law from hell.
November 17th, 1958. Olga is living alone. She is an easy target.
Your husband, he's really drunk.
She opens the door to a man that she has never seen. He tells her that he's a friend of Frank's. Frank's down in the back of his car, and he's quite drunk. Olga can't see. She's not really sure. She just sees somebody huddled on the back seat. She leans in because she thinks it's her husband.
Get in the car! Get in. You be quiet, okay? Quiet, okay?
The plan was to borrow a car, get a pistol, and to take Olga, kill her, and drive her to Mexico and dump the body. Lewis finally pulls over off the 101 freeway. They pull her out of the car. Lewis hits her with the gun so hard in the head that he breaks the gun.
That's it, good job.
The thugs are amateurs. They've forgotten a shovel.
All right, where's the shovel? What shovel? The shovel, dig the hole. I told you to bring a shovel.
You said you bring shovel. You're an idiot, okay? Now we have to dig. Stupid, you're an idiot. You don't even know what you're doing.
One job, one shovel.
Their victim isn't even dead.
One of them continues to strangle Olga, while the other one tries to dig a shallow grave. Well, it must be very tiring to kill somebody because they trade places every once in a while. So they just take turns.
Olga and her unborn child suffer one last time.
Olga's last moments were just terror-filled because of how these 2 guys murdered her.
She is buried alive.
Based on the autopsy results, it appears that they found traces of dirt in her throat.
Continuing their incompetence, Ma's henchmen are soon caught for other crimes. In jail, one of the men makes a stunning confession to a visiting pastor.
The pastor actually got him on his soft side. Isn't there something that you want to tell me? You can tell me. And so what happened was he actually confessed.
His accomplice follows his lead, and they give up Ma Duncan as the mastermind.
The Ma Duncan trial was coined the trial of the century back in 1959. It garnered headlines worldwide. People lined up in front of the courthouse as early as 3 in the morning to try to get a glimpse of the murderous Ma Duncan.
At Ma Duncan's trial, the prosecution calls dozens of witnesses, but her defense team only calls 2.
Those witnesses would have been Frank Duncan and his mother, Ma Duncan.
Ma Duncan and her accomplices are found guilty of murder. All 3 are sentenced to death.
Never admitted that she did it. Never denied it till the day that she died.
She used people, abused people, and drama was a major part of her life. She was insanely, irrationally jealous of her son and the woman her son loved. I think there was more than one thing wrong with her.
Ma Duncan has to face her greatest fear, being alone. On August 8th, 1962, she is executed. Her son doesn't attend.
Ma Duncan's last words were professing her innocence, "And where's Frank?"
These deadly women chose to kill instead of letting go. Unbridled anger let Rachel Wade take another life. Carolyn Young's fear of separation made her murder her only family. And Elizabeth Ma Duncan's jealousy caused her to kill her son's wife and baby. These women felt they owned their loved ones, and they had to murder to keep their deadly possessions.